What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 4 of season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. We'll be going full spoilers ahead, so hopefully you've watched this episode, and we're going to do a real quick recap. So basically, we're continuing from the last episode. Rico has been shot in the head by the assassin. I think his name's Toji? I don't remember. Something like that. So he shot him, reveals that he has killed Gojo, and just like the end of last episode, Geto is not stoked about that claim, and so they fight in a very well animated fight scene where Geto is using all of his cursed moves, and the assassin guy is basically dodging, shooting at him. A bunch of stuff's going on. They take a break for a second, just kind of discussing things a bit. One thing that's kind of thrown out there is basically the assassin guy reveals why he can go invisible for anybody who can sense cursed energy, because he's able to conceal cursed energy. He has it in his stomach, which is kind of weird, and he uses it as tools, essentially. And then there's something about his senses are heightened, and I forgot exactly why. Do you remember what he said about that?
While he was explaining his ability, he was told to shut up that he didn't care, because explaining it empowers it, essentially. And and he had, when he made that pact with that cursed spirit, that has the ability to basically be like an endless bag. It also increased his functions.
Senses, yeah. And that explains, too, why he's able to pull the swords out of this cursed thing that he has around him. That, grossly enough, he just yacked up while talking. They continue to fight after that, and he ends up besting Geto, but with a non-lethal strike, taking him down and leaving him. He then drops off Rico's body to, I forgot the name of the group, but it's the cult.
Star something cult.
Yeah. Drops him off. They take her. He's walking with one of the guys from that group. The guy reveals that he didn't kill the maid. I forgot the exact reason why. I'm really tired. Do you remember?
No, but I don't think it's relevant anyways.
Yeah. So she's still alive. We get that information. And then, on his way out, he is surprised to run into Gojo, who is apparently alive via his reverse energy ability that he was able to muster up as soon as he got hit in the throat. He'd used all his energy to keep himself alive, and now he's back and ready to get some revenge, but in an altered state, because he seems like he's kind of feeling something. He's the guy even says that he's like high or whatever, but yeah, he's experiencing a lot because he's been able to do this move that nobody's been able to do in a long time, right?
Yeah, it was basically he put reverse energy into reverse energy to create positive energy, because everything he does seems to be kind of like almost like magnetism almost. And apparently that was able to reverse what was happening to him at that point, but it also left him in a state of being able to just kind of like feel everything around him.
He basically tells the dude he's gonna kill him, and the guy, kind of the badass that he is, this dude's able to take on Geto and Gojo in certain circumstances, is ready to fight him. He gives it his best shot, but in Gojo's weird enlightened daze that he's in, he's just kind of reflecting on everything that's happening with him, saying essentially he's not really feeling a whole lot for anything in this moment. Even with Rico, he is sorry for what happened to her, but he doesn't even feel any emotions for that in this moment, which is really interesting. All the while, the assassin guy is just attacking him, trying to hit him. And eventually, if I get this correct, Gojo merges red and blue, his two abilities, into hollow purple, blasting a hole directly through, I think his name's Tojo,
yeah.
and leaving him pretty much dead. He just blasts a hole right through him. He's not coming back from it. When he asks him if he has any last words, he says no, but then he leaves him with information saying that his son will be sold in a couple years to Zenin, yeah, and do that with that what you will. And yeah, that's the end of that guy. We get an after credits scene. Did I skip anything before the after credits scene? There's a lot of things that happen in this episode. A lot of really cool fights too. We'll talk about it. After the credits, though, there's a scene where Gojo is walking through a crowd of like clapping people, which I think are all just the cult people. Yeah. And he's talking with Geto, essentially saying that in this moment he wouldn't care if he wanted to kill everybody here. And then Geto essentially says it wouldn't be right as a jujutsu sorcerer to basically do something like that
with no purpose.
With no purpose, yeah, exactly. So, kind of an interesting dialogue considering Gojo's in this weird altered state where he's not really feeling anything for anything, and he's carrying Rico, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, really crazy episode. Anything I miss?
I don't think so. There was
a lot of bunch of details, but the basic things that happen there.
Well, and a lot of it wasn't like necessarily super important. Like when I don't know if he was the leader or just like a high up person representing that religious sect.
Yeah, because he called him the leader and he said he wasn't.
Yeah. He kind of goes on this whole tirade about like. What I took from it, at least, was that the sorcerers shouldn't exist and humanity should be left to their fate, regardless of if it's good or bad. So,
yeah, because they had brought up the possibility of if Tengen doesn't exist, everything could kind of
collapse.
Yeah. So
and he said, "So be it. If the star." Goes with, then humans go with it. So,
which definitely had a like doomsday cult feeling to it. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
What do we think?
I mean, it was a really good episode, though. I really had to kind of focus on it a couple times because they were just kind of saying a lot of stuff. I do like that, and we kind of get a taste of it in season 1 with humans being able to. Participate in this world in a combative sense as long as they're skilled enough. With I can't remember her name right now, but the guy with the glasses that she needs to be able to see cursed spirits or whatever, or curses. There we go. This guy doesn't have cursed energy. He relies on a pact with a curse, and the curse's only real ability is to be a what's that called in D&D? Bag of holding. So, it was interesting to hear basically his perspective, though, and it did kind of make him the perfect assassin. That if he is not detectable by effectively using the Force, that he can just kind of sneak through. So,
yeah, I thought his whole thing's kind of creative because it's almost like the lack of cursed energy, but his ability to, fight well, especially with his enhancement through this cursed tool that he's using, kind of made him the perfect assassin for this kind of situation.
Yeah, though I do think it's interesting because we got confirmation that he is, I can't remember his name. The guy's dad,
Megumi.
Yeah, that he himself is not. A sorcerer and possesses no cursed energy, but obviously his son does eventually, and it has a similar school. I'll just call it as Geto, who's obviously not related to him. So it's kind of interesting, weird little connections there, but only thematically, not necessarily any substance there. Yeah, so outside of the awesome animation, choreography, and just like the way they kind of handle time in the fight, especially with all that stuff happening while they're free falling, and then the fight ending before they hit the ground, that was very cool. The fact that we get to see this guy essentially just how strong he is. He's beaten two of these guys now. He goes on to effectively, just go on with his business or whatever, and then we get, because we all know Gojo is going to be fine. We both, they're in the show later, both of them, and it was just a matter of like how, and it was interesting to kind of hear like he just took a technique and like used it on itself or whatever, which I still think his power is kind of like difficult to grasp in the way they explain it. Makes more sense to me when it's just simplified into like magnetism, which I'm not even sure is 100% a good way to put it, but it seems to correlate pretty well for me. And then him just kind of being in like this like weird state the whole time, and the crazy smile he made when he was just ready to fucking kill the guy. Pretty creepy, though. I like crazy faces in anime, so.
Well, and I mean, he kind of reversed death, so it's like probably does a lot to you mentally to have achieved that.
Yeah, for sure. Though we still haven't really gotten a catalyst for Ghetto's, inevitable attitude he develops towards people versus sorcerers. Because I know, obviously, spoiler if you haven't watched the movie, that he despises normies, basically, and only cares about sorcerers. And even his last statements at the end of this episode was very like protective of people still.
Yeah.
So still kind of waiting for that. And I think we only got one episode left if they're even going to explain it at all. So that'll be interesting to find out. I don't know if I have a whole lot more to add. It was pretty like in substance, pretty straightforward episode. There's just a lot of like little bit of information, basically, especially on like specific characters and stuff like that we got this time. So.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
All right. It was a really good episode. Definitely a good continuation of the last episode, which I thought was the best one. The two fight scenes in this were really cool, especially the one between Geto and the assassin. That was a lot of fun to watch. Very well animated. A lot of really cool stuff going on there.
Super creative.
The part with Gojo showing up felt less like a fight scene, even though it definitely had animation for a fight scene, but more so an event in what happens with the resolution of this assassin guy, but also an event that happened to Gojo in his past that kind of is really interesting.
Evolves him.
Considering, what his character's like now in the present timeline. It's interesting to have seen how he is when he's younger, but also this thing happening to him that probably has opened his mind on, what the possibilities of his powers are. Being OP, but they're handling it in a really cool way. I thought his return was a lot more interesting than it could have been. We were speculating and lightly speculating, kind of guessing like, he's going to come back. Of course, how are they going to do it? It was a satisfying way for him to come back. We already knew it was, but that it was this thing that he achieved. It makes it much more interesting. I do, now that he's dead, I liked the assassin guy. I liked the way he was kind of like thought out, and his whole demeanor of basically just being like, I'm going to kill these dudes. Here's my plan. I want to get paid and be done with it. Even when he asked him, what's your last words or whatever, he didn't really have like a whole lot to say to him, because he just knew he was dead. And then even when he offered the information about his kid, he didn't ask him to do anything about that. He's just like, here's some info, like do with that what you will. So I kind of liked that dude's arc. He was an interesting character. Would be cool to know more about him, but pretty much when it comes to the story, we got the gist of what we need to know from him, and it gives us a little bit of insight on more information moving forward with Megami, which will be really interesting because there's no reason to assume in the first season that he came from some assassin who had bested Gojo at one point and Geto.
It also kind of puts some weight on Gojo's like attachment. to him as well.
To Megami, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, because they do have a relationship that you notice, especially early on in the first season. There's a lot of, I hope they can nail it, but there's a lot of retroactive information that creates this, like, story and deeper elements to the story we've already been told. So I'm really curious how that unfolds. But yeah, really good episode. Really curious to see how they finish this off with the last episode of the 5 episodes coming up. I did hear that there's going to be like a month break or something like that.
Yeah, I need to confirm that, but yeah, that was hearsay for us.
Yeah, so. We'll figure it out. But yeah, really curious to see how they what the final episode's going to be like when it comes to this arc, because it was a shorter one, but there's a lot to it, and it's been satisfying so far. The first couple episodes were interesting for the most part, but this last 2 episodes I think have been really good. Yeah, really curious to see what they do with it. As for the maid, you did say it. I don't. She didn't really mean a whole lot to me as a character in the show, outside of her attachment with the character that needed to be protected and now has not been protected. So if she comes into play for some reason later, it would make sense. But that she's still alive, I don't know what to do with that information. I obviously only care about Geto and Gojo at this point and where they're going with the failure of their mission. And overall, really good episode. And I liked the story. I liked the way it unfolded with Gojo, and I, of course, liked the fight scenes because they were very well done. The animation for the show when it comes to fight scenes isn't, like Demon Slayer smooth, even though I'm not trying to downplay, it's very good looking. But there's like this exaggerated visual style that they do with this show that I think is really interesting. The way things bend and move, and the sense of momentum that I really enjoy. Just the animation style they do with this. Even in Chainsaw Man, it didn't have that style. So this show has its own like action style that I think is really interesting.
Well, I know they also changed styles for this season from last season as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
well, if this is a huge change from last season, which I figured just because it was a modern, like they just did it so it looked better, but I did notice this season certain things are animated not only much better, but just they're catching my eye more. So that could be what that is.
Yeah, I think they just chose a different creative direction for this season,
possibly because I find myself more impressed with this season than the last one. But of course, you could make the claim, because it's newer. But there's just something about it that is more eye catching for me.
I also feel like Mappa is kind of going in this direction of making like super like cinematic stuff now.
Yeah,
I really like. I do know some people aren't into it.
I love it. Yeah,
but yeah, I'm really into it, especially because this, a little bit off topic, but they're making their first anime original story movie. So I'm curious to see what that's gonna be like now with them basically making movie like specials and series and stuff. So
yeah, I'll be very interested seeing that, because it's going to show us if there is some writing prowess within them, or if they're just really good at animation.
Yeah, it's a different beast to tackle now.
Yeah, and even if it's not well written and it comes out and it's well animated or whatever, that doesn't really take anything from them for me, because they've already proved themselves with what matters to me when it comes to their animation.
Yeah, they're an animation studio.
Yeah, so. But if they nail a great story met with their animation, that's going to take them to the next level for me. So definitely very curious to see what they do with the, I don't remember what it's called, but with the new show. So yeah. Yeah, Mappa's doing so much shit. It's crazy. Yeah. They got a lot of projects.
Yeah, I feel bad for the animators. They probably don't get paid nearly enough. So,
but people love them, so they can take that as they will.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, great episode. Really excited to see the next episode. You have anything else you want to say? All right. Well, let us know in the comments, what do you guys think of episode 4 of Jujutsu Kaisen season 2? What do you think about the fight between the assassin and Geto? What do you think about the resolution of Gojo coming back and finally defeating Toji or Tojo, whatever his name
The
is.
second coming of God.
Yeah, that's what it felt like, just like a deity who had showed up. Yeah, where do you think things are going? Unless you've seen or read the manga, please do not spoil it. I have to say it every episode because I just want to make sure people know we have not read the manga. We are coming.
Who knows who watched this? Yeah.
Exactly. So please no spoilers. And yeah, are you enjoying what you're seeing so far? Let us know what you think about in the comments below. But I've been Seth, this has been Chevy. Stay tuned. We will have more reviews coming soon. But until the next episode, we will talk to you guys later.